Hi, and welcome to the Faith Hospitality Highlight. My name is Jennifer Brandt, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing two of our church's missionaries, Natalie Widman and Lois Belch. A little background on them. Natalie has been going to Faith since 1997 and was sent on a few short-term teams to Kazakhstan, Pakistan, Venezuela, and Tenerife, Spain. Now, this coming January will mark 14 years of her living and serving full-time in Tenerife. And then Lois and her husband, Dave, started attending FBC when the church was founded back in 1992. Lois was a missionary kid raised in Venezuela, and her and Dave were missionaries for a total of 42 years in Venezuela and later in Tenerife. I have so been looking forward to hearing a missionary's perspective on hospitality, and I'm excited to learn from your experiences. So thank you both so much for being here. First, I would like to have you guys introduce yourselves to the church and tell us about your ministries as missionaries and where you served and for how long and what you were doing in the places that God sent you.
I'm Natalie Widman, and I have been in Tenerife, Spain since 2012, helping out with the church plant there. Discipling high school girls and helping some of the older youth disciple the younger girls and helping out with some of the ladies' ministries and the kids' club.
Okay, awesome. All right. And Lois, what about you?
My name is Lois Belch, and I was raised in Venezuela with missionary parents and then returned as a missionary. We met my friend and then became my husband in Venezuela. And for the first 20 years, we worked at an MK school, missionary children's school. And then from there, we went to church planting in Venezuela for 10 years. And our last 10 years of our 40 that we spent in missions was in Tenerife. Mm-hmm.
All right. First, I would like to know how you would define hospitality and how have your experiences as missionaries shaped the way you understand hospitality. And Natalie, I'll start with you.
I think of being Christ-like. So any way that you can show grace and generosity, bringing somebody in to your space and loving on them would be hospitality. Any kind of welcoming love and service where you can show them that they are, in a sacrificial way, that they are part of the body, that they're included in the love of Christ. Mm-hmm. So whether that looks like, in your house with food or games, or maybe even in your car, like having having snacks or hats or glasses, or just talking with somebody, showing them that they are cared for.
Mm-hmm. Lois, what about you?
Well, I actually looked it up, and I thought that what I read was really pretty good. It says extending warmth, kindness, and generosity toward guests, visitors, and even strangers, creating an environment that fosters genuine human connection and a sense of belonging. Mm. Obviously, as believers, it goes past that, and we share the love of Christ, and we share the truth of Christ in an informal setting. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I think life is hard, and it's special to be able to show that to others, like, oh, we're all together in this, walking in the grace of God together.
Mm-hmm. How does hospitality look different in Tenerife and Venezuela compared to the U.S.?
Well, Americans are independent and efficient and punctual. And they make commitments that they usually hold to. They have a little organizers. And Spanish and Latin culture, I would say, is people-centered, and we're all together, and doesn't matter what time it is.
Mm. Just doing normal life things together all the time.
Right. I would agree. Venezuela was obviously the most laid back, and because their motto, and there's a Spanish way of saying it, is if I have food for one, that means I have food for two. Mm. If I have food for two, that means I have food for three. They're always wanting to include another person or more people. Mm-hmm. But I think more important than the difference in hospitality culturally is what God's word says about hospitality. And I'm deviating a little bit from this, but I was looking at all the hospitality verses and a lot of the actual hospitality scenarios in the Old and New Testament. And the difference that I found between what Scripture teaches and at least what North America teaches is Scripture teaches spontaneous or fluid hospitality, whereas America is a controlled hospitality. I decide when the hour, I decide what kind of food, I decide who I'm going to bring in, I decide there's almost a culture of you come, you spend between 2 and 3 hours, then it's time to leave. It's very controlled. And I'm not saying that is bad, but I think true hospitality is spontaneous or prepared hospitality or readiness hospitality. That, yes, there is room for the controlled hospitality, but what do we do with the unexpected? That really tests where our heart is in terms of being willing to open our door, to share our home, to share a meal with people that we might not necessarily have invited in.
That's really good. It makes me think about times where I'm more hesitant maybe than my husband is to just like spontaneously invite somebody over after church, like, hey, do you want to come have lunch with us? Even if I didn't necessarily have what I would think in my mind is enough for all of us, I'm sure it would still be enough because we have such big portions in the U.S. anyway. But it's a good reminder to be, I think, open and willing, because if I wasn't willing to do that, think about the opportunities that could be missed to encourage either another believer or even a non-believer who's just attending the church for a Sunday. You know, it's just to always kind of have your gospel outreach antenna on, I guess, and also to accept when somebody else in our culture invites you over, that it's not like you're not hesitant even in and of yourself of like, oh, I wasn't planning to do that today. But that person could be blessed by you saying yes and going over.
I remember one time in Tenerife, we had a couple of families over for Thanksgiving, which they don't celebrate, but we thought we would open our home for them, and we couldn't get them to leave. Oh. It was finally 11:30 at night, which is way past our bedtime. And we finally had to say, I know that we've had a great time, but it's time to go, But they had no reasoning, they just didn't feel like they were having such a good time. They were obviously enjoying the warmth of fellowship, and it was an interesting experience for me. Yeah.
Has that been difficult for you guys going from the U.S. kind of independent mentality to these places where maybe you do have to just be more willing and open? Was that a challenge?
A little bit. You just have to change your expectation a little bit. Like they might not show up on time. You don't know how long I'm going to be here. Your job is to not complain. But it's fun. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. My experience was totally different because I was raised in Venezuela with parents that personified spontaneous hospitality. They had people always living in their home. Their door was always open. We always had extra people around the table. So that was, as a matter of fact, I feel more intimidated with hospitality here in the U.S. than I ever did in Venezuela or Tenerife. People are so structured. If they're 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after, they're texting saying, I'm so sorry I'm late. That is just not my background. I realize I have to adjust to this culture, so I shouldn't be critical of it, but that is intimidating to me.
That's so different than I think most of our experiences, but I think that's really cool.
Natalie and I have a mantra that we've said ever since we worked together in Tenerife, and that is that food has power. And so you invite people around a table with food, and there is something magical about that. It's very cool. They feel the warmth and kindness, ideas flow, we're mutually lifted up, and I don't know. I don't know what you would have to say about that.
I would say even and here in the U.S. too. Once you've been in someone's house, and then you see them again on a Sunday morning, it's different. Like you're like, oh, I've been a part of your life. I've seen your personal space. I've seen what you live like.
Have you had experiences like Lois was talking about in more recently in Tenerife with like having people in your home, having meals together, and that kind of increasing just your familiarity and friendship with somebody?
It's good to create memories together, and then play games together, laugh together, eat together.
Yeah. I wrote down here, conversation flows, ideas are shared, experiences are related, God's goodness is remembered, and people feel loved and heard when you're around the table and sharing. It's really quite amazing. Whether it's here or whether it's in another country. And when you read the Bible, the hospitality instances almost always center around food. So that kind of brings down walls. Like we all have to eat, so that's what I found.
Yeah. Natalie, in Tenerife, what has the outreach to the students looked like?
Like the college students? Well, they're not time sensitive. They want to be together. They want to share life together. So I think just a flexibility of when that's happening, because you can have some late nights where people just like, I want to talk. You can't look at the clock, you can't. It's not important. A lot of times hospitality is they need to go somewhere, and so it's in a car to spend that time together. Or there's food, or you're going somewhere else for food, but on their timeline.
Yeah.
I remember one time David and I were asked to be premarital counseling for a couple that was getting married, obviously. And after a few times meeting with them, David and I realized, why don't we invite other couples that are thinking of getting married and newly married couples and invite them in our home once a month and see what happens. And it was amazing. Wouldn't you say? Natalie was part of that. It was amazing what happened, because they were listening, this couple that wanted to be married were listening to newly married couples interact and see the rawness and realness of marriage and the blessing of marriage through the eyes of newly married people. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, you create opportunities. You guys did a great job at creating opportunities of discipleship, and that Bible study, that group still meets now, years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a powerful thing. It really was. It was way, way better than David and I could have ever imagined it to be. It was a big undertaking, but it was, so worth it. We would present a theme or something to talk about, so that there was a direction in the conversations, and that was helpful.
And again, with the power of food, because of the same people, like, well, I don't have time to do a study. I don't have time to go there. Can you come over for food? Oh, yeah.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's good. So other than sharing meals with people, what are some other practical ways that you guys like to show hospitality?
I have a lot of car ministry. I feel like I'm just trying to show them like what would encourage them to try to think ahead. What would encourage you to feel at home or comfortable in this situation?
What did your car ministry look like? What was some other stories or examples of how that looked?
I don't know. I try to have this candy or snacks or gum or what youth would, look for. Some glasses, some hats, anything that can let's just change. It like breaks down a little bit of the uncomfortableness of a serious ride or something.
And it was just like getting them from point A to point B, just because they don't have a car, don't have a license.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, or they're younger. Yeah, just to force a little bit of interaction between them in the car. And
I've been on the creative side of hospitality here in the U.S. I had a new friend that invited me and actually Natalie's mom on a picnic. And so we ended up having the food aspect, but we also were able to walk around a park, and I thought that was really creative and fun. Because I don't know, so I think if we think beyond even our own house, like a barbecue, or let's meet in the park, or I know that there's lots of women with small children, let's all meet in the park during the summer. I think that's really good. You know, it's a way to meet other people and extend hospitality among those groups.
That it can happen anywhere. And
Exactly.
got to be maybe more creative and
Right.
bring people into your life.
Right.
No matter what you're doing, just invite people along. Be like, I was going to do this anyway, so I'll have other people tag along with me. Yeah, that's cool. How is God currently growing you in hospitality?
Actually, he's growing me through my husband. He's by far the most hospitable. He's always looking for opportunities to connect with people and invite people into our homes. I mean, we work with some immigrants here in town, and a year ago, one of them had a very serious accident she fell, and she had a newborn, and her husband had to travel, and so I can't even imagine being in a country where you don't know anyone, and you are so seriously physically impaired because her whole leg was in a cast and she couldn't handle her daughter and herself. They called us. Even though it was inconvenient, there was no option. Obviously, God put that opportunity before us, and it was right before I was going to Italy for 2 weeks. Like, they left one day, I went to Italy the next day. So it wasn't convenient, but genuine hospitality, biblical hospitality, like what we find in Scripture, it's seldom convenient. And yet it was really impactful for us as well as for them. We were able to take that woman here to church. She listened to the entire gospel. It was wonderful. But it wasn't something that I would choose, but David is always on the lookout. Let's have so-and-so over. And, okay, and I think we should do this. Okay, but he's the initiator that the Lord is using to grow me in hospitality. Because I have a whole list of reasons why I shouldn't. You know, my reasons. And he just, you know, I haven't said those to him. But, yeah. There's all kinds of reasons why people say, no, it's not my gift. I'm sorry, it's a command. You know, it doesn't matter your giftedness. You're supposed to be hospitable.
I think something I've learned is that hospitality and humility go hand in hand. It's not easy, and for some people especially, it's maybe just more challenging than an extroverted person or somebody that just always wants to be around other people, but to just have the willingness and humility of heart to be like, whatever God has for me. And I'm not going to hold on to my plans and what I want for me today, but be willing to serve other people and love them, even if it's a sacrifice. And that's what Christ did for us.
And every time, with very few exceptions through my life, when you extend yourself, you come away like, wow. It is just amazing. It is such a privilege to be, you know, even when people come into our house, we think that we're serving them, and in the end, they serve us with their lives. It's really beautiful.
I love that. That's great.
I would say what Lois had mentioned before, the control. Like, I'm an American, and I'm not going to ever fully lose some of my culture. So to expect, I'm not going to have control of a situation. My job is to love people and see the sovereignty of God in it. Something that Lois says often is she likes to pray while she's baking the food. She makes amazing food. She has her own cookbook.
I didn't know that.
She does.
All the recipes that I made is for the outreach ministries she put into a cookbook.
Oh, that's
it's not like
cute.
I have my own cookbook.
It's the Lois
It's not
Belch
published,
cookbook.
but it's a thing.
It's a book.
Okay. Oh, it's
printed. And she said a lot. She'll pray that the food is good so that people can enjoy it and be satisfied and eat what they want, but not so good that it becomes the conversation. So I think that's so wise. Like, it's good to not think, oh, I'm going to do this amazing food or this amazing dessert, and people are going to be like, wow, and that's not my motive. I shouldn't be with that motive. So just remembering that I'm there to love people and be flexible and.
It's not to exalt ourselves, but to exalt God.
God is very patient and kind with us.
Are there any people in your life? I know Lois is one of them. You've already mentioned to us and to me somebody that you look up to or you've learned a lot from in hospitality, but are there other people that come to mind?
Yes, I have a list. My mom has always been up for a game night, invite people over, create memories. She's, however the house is, to reach out to people. She's always been like that. I had the blessing of also kind of had like my Spokane years here at FBC. I was discipled by many ladies, but I would say like maybe Martha Smith, Erica Long, and Amy DeBerg were huge influences. I was in their house a lot. But I would also give, like I would say, heavily influenced, some things that people that heavily influenced me were Pam Takasaki and Marilyn Clark, Linda Jarms and Kelly Dean. There's many, many more. But it's been a blessing because it was gold to be able to see what they did and watch them interact with their families. And then once I got to Tenerife, I lived with Cheryl Albrecht, who is another missionary that was over there for a few months. I got to see firsthand some very solid, like inviting people over, very intentional hospitality. And then Lois influenced me in huge ways. She's always talking about, like, look at the salad. It's a happy salad. Look at the napkins we put on the plates. Like, the table is set before the people come in. And the napkins are happy. Everything's always happy with Lois. But really practical ways and then when they retired, they gave me their giant table that seats how many?
16.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So super practical ways. Every week I was over eating at their house. And then they left a few years ago. But Moraima Crespo is also that whole family each week invited me into their house. So it's been a huge blessing because these are people of integrity that were not afraid to share who they were.
Natalie has people over almost every Sunday to the tune of 20.
Oh.
And her apartment is American style, from American standards, is not that big. No American would have 20 people in the size apartment that she has, but she does all the time.
That's so cool.
Yep. And I think one of the things that that they enjoy, the church in Tenerife, is that she prepares for them, not lavishly, but when they come into their home, into her home, they know that they are welcome. They're been waited for because of how she prepares the table. It makes it very welcoming.
You make it happy. Your table happy.
Very happy. Yeah.
Something that we've been doing for a while is hiding like things or like changing one fork or hiding verses in napkins. And so the kids know like there's going to be a little prize if you can figure out which it is. So they're always like, okay, where am I going to sit? That's pretty cute.
Is it a Sunday norm that there's just a group of people coming over? Has it become
Not
like a
every
thing?
Sunday, not
Okay.
every Sunday, but
The only Sunday there's not is if there's something going on at the church.
Okay.
If there's not something going on at the church, she's intentional about getting through all of the congregation. It's quite amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
well, I need to grow in it more. But I have 21 chairs, and so I just try not to go over 21. That's when it makes it interesting when people invite themselves. You're like, oh, someone's sitting on someone's lap.
Oh, do you cook for everybody too?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes people will offer, the dessert.
Okay.
I just want to say something about Natalie. When she first came to Tenerife, she was a zero in the kitchen. I do not mean to speak badly of her, but she did not know anything. And what amazes me about her is that she allowed God to teach her, and she was willing to learn that whole hospitality area. I mean, it's amazing what God has done through her. But she started not knowing very much about culinary, whereas I grew up cooking. And she did not, but I was just amazed. I'm thinking, wow, this is a balanced meal here.
That's so sweet.
Still have much to learn.
Just out of curiosity, what are some of kind of the go-to meals in Tenerife that you make people?
Easy, something that you could cook ahead that can sit in the oven and be ready when I get there, or in a crock pot. So I still like easy casseroles or lasagna. Or tacos. Sometimes a soup or a chili. Something that can already be ready.
Okay, that's a good idea. And is it pretty similar to like American cuisine as far as like the style and the flavors and
I would say it's
ingredients?
See if you agree with me. I would say it's more difficult to try a new recipe in Tenerife because people will go, "What is this? I've never seen this."
Okay.
Yeah. They're not foodies like people here are.
Oh, okay. They just want what they're used to.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other things that you guys wrote down that were kind of related to any of the questions that you want to talk about?
Well, one of the things that I like is to address why people don't. I mean, in my world, I'll say, well, I have to clean my house. I don't feel like cleaning my house. Or, maybe the guests will have allergies, and what am I going to do? Or I don't want to be bothered. What do I talk about? If you're an introvert, you think, oh my goodness, I'm going to have people, and I don't know what to talk about. And I'm not a cook. Listen, I've been here in America where I've gone to people's houses and they're not cooks and they serve a meal. Even if it's Costco's meatballs or whatever, it is okay. It is perfectly fine if you're not a cook to figure out how you can still invite people into your home. Because we don't have an option. We need to do it. And we need to do it with not thinking, Scripture is clear about this too. We don't do it so that they reciprocate. We do it, we're not supposed to do it for that reason. We're supposed to do it because we love them and we want to extend warmth and generosity to them, but not because we want it reciprocated.
I think Lois is a good example too of not being so extravagant that someone else couldn't repeat it, because that's part of hospitality, is that you're encouraging, like, look, you can come into my house and then you can do this with other people. Yeah. But if it's too extravagant, they're going to be like, what? I can't do this.
Right. And I certainly don't want to invite I can't do that. There's a balance there.
Yeah. You don't want to come across intimidating.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I definitely oftentimes I think my first thought if Corey invites somebody over is like, is the house clean enough? Just things like that. And it's like, of course it is. It's not ever going to be perfect, but that shouldn't be a barrier either. I really appreciate that you guys did this interview, but also just kind of talked about the hesitations that I think are common to man, common to our hearts, that lead us more inward rather than outward focused, loving the people around us. And I think that that's a really valuable lesson for the church to learn, for all of us to learn, to look outside of ourselves and be willing and humble and ready at all times, and not just in our American mindset of when it's convenient for me, but that it's always convenient to be hospitable because it's a commandment and we want to obey the Lord. So thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, Jennifer.
Oh yes, thank you so much.